presidential nominee Hillary Clinton, candidate Hillary Clinton is opening up about her election defeat. During a recent interview at an event in New York City, she says that if the election were held about 2 weeks earlier, she'd be in the Oval Office now. Clinton put most of the blame on FBI Director James Comey, WikiLeaks, and Vladimir Putin. So what does she have to gain for making these statements now? Joining us now to discuss, we welcome Associate Professor of Political Science, Dr. Michael Binder. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so first up, we just kind of want to toss real quickly to some of the comments that she's making, specifically in an interview, or I guess people, sorry, losing my train of thought here. Several late-night hosts played into her comments. Take a look.
So she made mistakes, publicly recognized them, and owned up to her shortcomings. No wonder she lost. That's totally unpresidential.
No tremenduses, no hand gestures, not one description of chocolate cake, no. I didn't realize how much I'd missed hearing sentences with a beginning, middle, and end.
So, Dr. Binder, this is the first that we've really heard from Hillary Clinton after the election and everything. What do you think about what she said and these reactions?
Well, the reactions are great, and you cannot blame the late-night hosts.
Of course.
This was literally their heyday, the 2016
they
election.
They were so excited.
Right? This is dipping back into that well and getting out of it a little bit more. So this is good stuff for them, and it drove ratings, and now we're talking about it a day afterwards. As far as the things that she was saying and the issues that she's talking about, I don't know that we're ever truly going to know. The argument against what she said was, well, we could have had the election 2 weeks earlier, but a problem was a lot of those late deciders turned toward Trump, who were Republicans and independents who probably would have voted Republican anyway. They just had to swallow Trump as their nominee. That just would have happened 2 weeks earlier. Whether or not Comey was a big push, literally a week before the election, I wrote an op-ed that said it wasn't going to matter. I didn't think it would matter. I still don't think it mattered all that much. I think that
you think Comey coming out didn't hurt the election for her?
A little bit, but I think there were so many other things at play that mattered more. And the fact that Trump was a great candidate for the last week and a half of the election. He kept his mouth shut. He didn't say anything stupid, which was really what was holding him back. Yeah. And that enabled all of those Republicans who were scared of him to say, you know what? Maybe he can change. Maybe he's grown up. Maybe this is somebody that I can vote for. And if you were somebody that was a change agent, there was nothing that Hillary Clinton could do that was going to make you vote for her.
Do you think she's gotten over it yet?
No.
Over the loss?
Oh.
No.
Neither do I. When I see her, all I see is hurt.
And that's not to be surprising, right? This was...
But it's been 100 days.
Yeah, it's been 100 days. Think about that. You were on the precipice of making history. The first woman president in the United States. That is a big freaking deal. And everybody thought she was going to do it. She thought she was going to do it.
She did.
And it was yanked from underneath her. And that's hard to get over.
Well, I mean, in the interview, she said that she's now part of the resistance. What do you think that she meant by that?
Well, I think the idea that there's this resistance out there and people that are fighting Donald Trump, there's certainly some of that. And the Democrats are angry because of the obstructionism that happened in Washington during the end of Obama's term by the Republicans. And this is their turn to say, hey, listen, we're going to stop all of this. We're going to do the same. We're going to do it to you what you did to us. And that's great, but ultimately this country has to move forward. And there are things that we need to do. There are actually issues that both sides of the aisle agree on. You know, we did avoid a government shutdown this past week, which was a positive thing, I think.
But don't we always?
Well, I'm actually glad that you brought that up, because we have been hearing a lot about the government shutdown lately, and even though lawmakers from both parties agreed on a deal that avoids a shutdown, the president seems to be advocating in the opposite direction. He tweeted out, quote, "Our country needs a good shutdown in September to fix a mess." Why would we ever need a shutdown? We've seen what it does. I mean, I was a little upset that national parks were shut down for a while. That was kind of a big deal. But do we actually need one?
And no is the answer. You absolutely don't need a government shutdown. Now, it's not going to affect the military. They still go to work. It might affect some of their paychecks getting delayed, although it didn't happen last time in 2013, the last time we had one of these. But what it does, it'll shut down parks. It shuts down all non-essential government services. So when you send in your passport, it might take a little while. I just got mine renewed. It came back pretty quick. But guess what? If you're planning a trip, that might be a problem for you. Or if you've got, you have to make, in some of these national parks, you have to make reservations a year, year and a half out.
Wow.
You got reservations for that first week of October, and this is what the president's saying? You might want to have a backup plan for that family vacation.
Now, I know you mentioned all the effects it could have on a nationwide level, but is it the same thing for on the local level? Or would things be differently here on the First Coast if there was?
Well, we've never had one, which is a positive thing. But yeah, but think about this, right? Maybe the police still go to work, but maybe the city parks are closed, right? You want to go to Hanna Park, you want to go to the beach, you want to go downtown to City Hall. Maybe that's not an option. The courts are still going to remain open, but maybe if you want to do something that requires some type of business license at the local level, maybe those offices are closed.
So registering a business, you could not do that during a shutdown.
Right.
Jeez.
Plan ahead. Plan ahead. Yeah.
Get your
We could start on that right now.
Get your government work done by the 29th of September.
Good Lord. All right, well, moving on now to a controversy over fake news, something we love talking about. The head of President Trump's re-election campaign is accusing CNN of censorship after the network refused to run the group's latest advertisement. Here's a clip of the ad.
The biggest tax cut plan in history. You wouldn't know it from watching the news. America is winning, and President Trump is making America great again.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
So has the president ever tried to place an ad like this on a news network?
Yeah, I mean, presidents and campaigns place ads on news networks all the time. This is nothing new. News networks say they're not going to air a variety of different ads for a host of different reasons regularly, so that's not shocking. What is interesting about this one is what CNN was opposed to, the idea that fake news graphic over the faces of
Their
legitimate,
anchors?
Their anchors, mainstream anchors, MSNBC anchors, folks that are not actually fake news. You might not like them personally, you might not watch their television stations, but by and large, what fake news is all that clickbait stuff that isn't actually real.
Yep.
These folks are actually portraying information as it's coming to them. They might highlight different information than you might want to hear about, but that is not what fake news is. And I understand what CNN was doing, and I think that's probably the right thing, because when you're conflating the opinions of some anchors versus what actual facts are, and you're mixing that up with fake news, I think that's bad for our democracy. I think the news is a vital source of information in democracy. How else are we going to find out about things? Right. You think locally, you talk locally, right? There's a trial going on down the street for a former congresswoman. How are we going to know about what's happening in there? Because guess what? We have jobs. We have places we need to be. We can't sit in that courtroom to hear about it. But there are our local news stations.
Got our First Coast news reporters out there every minute of that
and they're the ones that are telling us what's happening. And so I think there's a value and a vital role that the news plays.
All right, so you've got a poll that you're working on at UNF. Kind of tell us what's going on with that.
Yeah, so we're partnered with the Times Union right now. We're literally in the field calling right now. So if you're watching and you get a phone call from UNF,
it's just Dr. Binder. Don't hang up. He's very nice. We promise.
Talk to our callers. What we're doing is we're asking about downtown, and the Times Union's coming out with a new magazine in a few weeks, and this is going to be a big part of that initial thing. What people want with downtown, how maybe city council can start to work toward that now that theoretically the pensions and it has been taken care of, at least in the short term. We can move on to the budget and those priorities and maybe doing something with downtown a little better.
So how did they decide who they will call to poll?
So we're calling a random selection of people in Duval County and then also St. John's, Nassau, and Clay. So kind of the neighboring counties, that folks that go and visit and have influence and have say and take advantage of downtown. So we're going to be calling
almost all zip codes here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, we're
not
calling
just select ones.
Absolutely not. We call everybody.
I want my phone to ring.
Yeah, better call us.
Phone to ring. Don't
call us.
Won't be none.
Hey, we have a lot of numbers from your neck of the woods, and we have a lot of and because we have 3/4 of our calls being completed on cell phones, we have a much more diverse group of folks that respond. This isn't just old white people. So don't worry about that.
We know people like to say that's the only people they're calling. So now we have proof. Dr. Binder's calling more than old white people with the little flip phones.
Okay,
don't worry about
it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Binder. We always appreciate you enlightening us when it comes to politics.
Thanks for having me.
All right, up next, it is the most talked about musical right now in Jacksonville. It's a combination of great music, dancing, and high heels. We'll hear all about it when we come back.